Welcome to MED-MYSTIFY. Today, we're targeting a silent villain that's literally lurking right within the bloodstream. It's one of those conditions that often presents with absolute zero symptoms. Yet, behind the scenes, it's busy causing unseen, cumulative cardiovascular damage. Yeah, I'm talking about hyperlipidemia. In this explainer, we're going to break down exactly what this condition is, how it actually works, and most importantly, the pharmacological weapons we have to fight it.
Okay, let's dive into our roadmap. First, we'll understand hyperlipidemia, then decode lipoproteins. After that, we'll lay out the lipid-lowering drug classes, zoom in on a few key drugs, and finally wrap up with some essential exam points.
Section 1. Understanding hyperlipidemia. Before we can even talk about the cure, we've got to define exactly what we're up against.
So hyperlipidemia is fundamentally a metabolic disorder. It's characterized by an abnormally high concentration of lipids, specifically fats like cholesterol and triglycerides, floating around in the blood. And the stakes here, they're incredibly high. Because these elevated lipid levels, well, they aren't just numbers on a lab report. They are a major driving risk factor for atherosclerosis, coronary artery disease, heart attacks, strokes, the whole shebang. Left unchecked, it's basically a direct pathway to severe cardiovascular events.
Now, you might want to take a mental screenshot here. Knowing these normal baseline levels is absolutely crucial for clinical practice. We want to see total cholesterol below 200 milligrams per deciliter. LDL, that's the bad one, should be strictly under 100. HDL, our good protective cholesterol, needs to be higher, so over 40 for men and over 50 for women. And finally, triglycerides, keep those under 150. These thresholds, they are your ultimate diagnostic anchors.
Section 2. Decoding lipoproteins. Let's talk about how these fats actually move around the body. See, fats are insoluble in water, right? So they need these microscopic taxicabs called lipoproteins to travel through the bloodstream. Notice how our fleet of taxis varies in density and function? Chylomicrons, they transport dietary triglycerides right out of the intestine. VLD handles the endogenous ones from the liver. Then we have IDL, which is basically just a precursor to LDL. Now, LDL is packed with cholesterol, and its job is delivering that cholesterol directly to the tissues, which, as you probably know, is why it can cause atherosclerosis. On the flip side, HDL is mostly protein. It acts kind of like a garbage truck, sweeping up cholesterol from the tissues and taking it back to the liver.
And this brilliantly illustrates a simple but highly effective memory trick for differentiating the villain from the hero. LDL stands for lousy cholesterol. You want less of it. HDL stands for healthy cholesterol. You want more of it. Keep that simple mnemonic in your back pocket. It never fails.
Moving on to Section 3, lipid-lowering drug classes. Time to shift our narrative from the problem to the solution and introduce our pharmacological arsenal.
We basically have 6 major classifications of anti-hyperlipidemic agents available to clinicians today. We've got the wildly popular statins, the fibrates, the bile acid sequestrants, also known as resins, specific cholesterol absorption inhibitors like ezetimibe, nicotinic acid derivatives like niacin, and finally, the newer, highly effective PCSK9 inhibitors.
What's really amazing is how each class attacks the lipid problem from a completely different biochemical angle. It's like a multi-front war. Statins go right to the source by inhibiting cholesterol synthesis. Fibrates, they focus on increasing triglyceride breakdown. Resins bind up cholesterol to physically increase its excretion. Ezetimibe blocks cholesterol from even being absorbed in the gut. Niacin works by decreasing VLDL synthesis. And PCSK9 inhibitors, they actually ramp up LDL receptor recycling to pull more of that bad cholesterol right out of the blood.
Section 4. Key drugs in focus. Let's zoom in on a few specific drugs from these classes. These are your heavy hitters that frequently pop up on exams and, of course, in daily pharmacy practice. First up is Lovastatin, sold under trade names like Mevacor and Altacor. This is your classic HMG-CoA reductase inhibitor, better known as a statin. Here's a pretty fascinating fact for you. Lovastatin is actually a natural product. It's derived from a polyketide produced by the fungus Aspergillus terreus. So nature actually provided us with one of our most potent cardiovascular drugs. How cool is that?
Clinically speaking, Lovastatin is an absolute superstar for cardiovascular risk reduction. It reduces the risk of myocardial infarction and unstable angina and literally delays the physical progression of coronary atherosclerosis. Generally, it's super well tolerated. Patients might occasionally complain of flatulence, maybe some abdominal pain or muscle aches, but the really critical, rare side effects you have to watch out for include myopathy, hepatotoxicity, and that dangerous muscle breakdown condition, rhabdomyolysis.
Next, we transition to our primary fibrate example for this review, Clofibrate. You'll commonly see it under the trade name Atramid-S.
Clofibrate is specifically deployed for patients with type 3 hyperlipidemia, or primary dysbeta-lipoproteinemia, usually when severe diet modifications just haven't done the trick. It's excellent for controlling both high cholesterol and high triglycerides. However, it does come with frequent gastrointestinal disturbances, mostly diarrhea and nausea. Much less commonly, patients might experience decreased sexual ability, muscle cramps, or headaches.
Now, what's really interesting about our next two drugs, Cholestyramine and Colestipol, is their chemistry. They are actually water-insoluble, highly cross-linked basic anion exchange resins, meaning they don't even get absorbed into the bloodstream. They do all of their work entirely in the gut. Both of these are used as adjuncts to diet for treating primary hypercholesterolemia, specifically driving down that raised LDL. A super unique use for cholestyramine, though, is treating pruritus, or severe itching caused by partial biliary obstruction. But you absolutely must warn your patients about the side effects here. The most frequent one is constipation, and it can sometimes be incredibly severe. Also, and this is paradoxical, I know, these resins can occasionally cause an increase in VLDL and triglyceride synthesis, so you really have to monitor that full lipid panel.
Section 5. Essential exam points. Let's bring all these concepts together for a rapid-fire review.
All right, here are the high-yield molecular targets and concepts that examiners just love to test. First, never forget the foundational rule. LDL is your major atherogenic lipoprotein, while HDL is your protective transporter. Second, Lovastatin specifically targets HMG-CoA reductase. Remember, that is the rate-limiting enzyme in cholesterol synthesis. Third, Clofibrate lowers triglycerides by activating PPAR-alpha, which in turn increases lipoprotein lipase activity. And finally, resins, like cholestyramine, reduce LDL by acting in the intestine to prevent bile acid reabsorption, which literally forces the liver to use up more cholesterol to make new bile acids.
As we develop even more targeted therapies, will we one day make cardiovascular disease a thing of the past? Like, subscribe, and share this with your friends for such more pharmacy-related informative videos. Be sure to write your questions, suggestions, and thoughts in the comments section. We will catch you in next one.